Hello. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good night.
Good night.
Truman Show.
Yeah. Here we are, the boys.
How's it going?
Mikey and Ryan, who you may remember from such lives as the live we did a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I think went quite well. So Ian's taking a little bit of a rest at home with the family, the new baby. So you've got the Three Stooges here to answer your questions, your many queries, whatever you want to talk about. Free for all.
Free for all.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got Golf Olympics coming up on Wednesday. We got a tournament this past weekend that was pretty good. Good to see Cameron Champ win. I felt like he wasn't going to win again because he just wasn't kind of barely hanging on to making cuts, but I was happy to see that.
He's such an interesting case because he
Yeah.
does something very, very well, and when something else works well, he wins.
Yeah, I just think his short game was a problem for the longest time, and now obviously he's getting it up and down more often. It's not a tee to green issue usually in his stats, so good to see him win. 3 wins for him now.
I thought Hadwin could do something, and then he cold topped it on Saturday into the water. And
our Canadian hopes were
that was done. So.
Yeah. Yep, but
He really topped it? I missed that.
Yeah, he topped it. He was like 250 something yards. That 18th hole played the hardest hole
Yeah, it
of the
did.
whole course. A lot of guys in the water, and he made it midway through the pond.
oh boy.
Been
Oh
there.
boy.
I can do that.
Oh, we've all been.
I've hit that shot before many times.
Yeah, it's part of the game.
I was testing a long driver a couple weeks ago, and I cold topped one into a pond.
It's rough.
47.5 inches. Just plunk, and I was like, yeah, this might not be my best option for
did-
picking up club head speed.
It didn't offer you more distance?
No, it did not. Not when it goes like that.
Oh boy. All right, well,
There's a good one. Mr. Andrew Reed says, had a virtual fit with Dean. That dude is a stud. Could not recommend him more.
fantastic. Yeah,
That's
Dean's
great.
been getting some thumbs up on this live pretty much every week.
Yeah.
So he
Dino's
must be doing a fantastic job.
doing a good job. It's
Yep.
about time.
Love it. It's about time, he says. Andrew has a good question here. Boys, should there be weight progression for hybrid shafts between a 3 and a 4 hybrid, or should they be the same? So someone has an 80 gram in there. Would you have a 75 gram in the 3 and an 80 gram in the 4, or is that unnecessary?
When we fit, I would say 9 out of 10 times, it's 80 gram in the 3, 80 gram in the 4.
Okay.
Or 80 gram in the 3, 80 gram in the 5.
Unless there's some weird length adjustment going on,
Yeah.
no reason to mess with it.
Yeah, unless we're playing with someone who's extremely tall or someone who's extremely short, then yes, we will definitely play with that kind of weight. Same in the fairway widths. We would
Gotcha.
try to keep it the same throughout.
Yeah, simple, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, for you?
It's a Mizuno iron question, yes. I play MP53 irons. What would be a good Mizuno replacement? Well, next one would be either the current line is MP20 or the 921 Tour would be that option. If you're looking for something a little bit more forgiving, then you go to the forged option, which has a much deeper undercut. But in reality, you're looking at, I think, because the 63s were the one that didn't have the undercut, 53s had the undercut. So if you want that, you go with the new forged.
Love it.
Okay. Easy peasy. Will is asking, how do you measure playing length when installing a shaft tip adapter? Mikey, that's one for you. So how do you make sure you get the correct playing length when installing a shaft tip adapter? You're just using one of those.
Yeah,
What's that called? The Mitchell ruler thing?
Yeah, it's a USGA spec ruler. When we're building it, it's depending on the driver that we're building it to, but how do you measure playing length when installing a shaft tip adapter?
I think the assumption is if you're going potentially from one driver to another, that's what it seems like to me. Where I think when we're building new, like we start with a raw shaft, so you just you install first, then cut to length. But you have to use, if you're using an already cut one, you just have to add the shaft length to the bottom border ground measurement.
I do get a lot of questions of, hey, I'm buying a driver shaft. It's 44.25 inches. What's the length of it in a TaylorMade driver?
X driver, yeah.
And it does vary?
It does vary 100%. And that just comes from a lot of people buying stuff online, eBay, whatever. And, the guy's taking a, normal ruler, like a measuring tape, and it says 44 and a half or 44 and 3/4 or 43 and a half inches. And yes, it does vary. And I have a list somewhere on my phone where I took raw measurements of different shafts. It's different between, half inch.
Gotcha. Chris ordered a Ventus Black 6S for his Sim 2.
Good combo.
He heard that TM tips all their drivers 1-inch stock. That sound right, Mikey?
Yep.
So does this mean my Ventus will play more like an X stiff? Would you recommend some tips?
I will definitely play firmer. I would imagine. I'm hoping you got fit to a Ventus Black 6S that was,
Already tipped that way.
Which
chances are it would be, no? If you went to a TaylorMade center?
Yeah,
TaylorMade,
if it's from TaylorMade, then definitely. So it should be okay. Will it play a bit stiffer? 100% it'll play stiffer.
But yeah, it sounds like, Chris, you likely demoed it that way.
Yeah.
So it will probably play exactly the way that you tested it, which is a good
That's the
thing.
most important.
I think the one thing that, like, people look at the manufacturer's websites and you see the tipping recommendations, but they are really strictly just recommendations. So every OEM is going to do it slightly differently. Every club builder is going to do it slightly differently, because I've heard of, you'll see ones where you'll see 3-wood tip maximum 1/2 inch, and then you'll see the specs of a certain player, and X player has it tipped 2 inches. And
Right.
it's all about trying to dial it in for that specific player, however that OEM chooses to build. So tipping recommendations are always just that. They are just recommendations from that manufacturer.
Makes sense. Blake wants to know about how I like playing a shorter shafted hybrid. Yeah, we did the experiment probably last year, Blake. It was the Nippon Ghost phase in the shop. I liked it for a while. It was fine. I'm starting to not really like heavy clubs in general, though, if I'm being totally honest. I liked it for the purpose of, at the time, I think I was hitting my hybrid pretty low spin and long, so it turned it more into like a distance control club for me by going shorter and heavier. So I like the concept of it. I would say you really want to test one though, because it's a bit of a weird feel. Like, it's kind of a short club, it's heavy obviously, and then you're working with a hybrid head instead of an iron, so it is unique. For some people, you might just hit one and be like, this is crap, I don't want anything to do with this. But for someone else, it might be exactly what you're looking for. For me, I didn't rush to put one in my bag. It was fine, but it was more of a band-aid for me hitting swoopy draws and 2,000 spinners with a hybrid, and that's not the club's fault. That is my fault. Okay. James. Thank you, James. James is looking to get a U500 4-iron to complement his CBs with Modus 130Xs. He plays a Ventus 7X black in his driver. Okay, what do you like for his U500 4-iron? I'm assuming graphite, because no one really goes steel in these driving irons anymore.
Yeah, graphite. I think a great move into that is Ventus right out of the gates. Ventus,
so the Ventus hybrid shaft,
stuff's so good. That HB
for James.
Really, really good.
One more for him.
One more for him.
Acra.
Tensei.
Oh yeah, Tensei white.
Yeah, you go Tensei, for sure.
Tensei white or the Ventus HB, James, for you, for your pleasure. I don't know what that means. What do you consider extremely short? We're talking about
I think when we were
clubs?
talking about length, I said people are extremely tall, extremely short.
Oh, okay.
I mean, honestly, we fit people who are, not to offend anyone, but I guess 5, anything under 5'4" would be
for a male.
Yeah, for a male would be considered
On the
shorter
short side,
for doing a fitting kind of thing. But
fair.
We have different lengths of shafts and everything that will work for everyone.
Gotcha.
It's like getting fit for a suit. Everyone's different.
Definitely.
From our pal Dave. Dave says he has a friend with a Titleist D10D3. Oh, what am I reading? Am I reading that wrong?
Titleist D3, 10 degree. I think it's a 10 degree D3.
Okay. He cracked the face.
I'm trying to
I think
interpret.
he might have meant 910D3, but anyway, he'll probably chime back in. He cracked the face. That's not good. What would you recommend for him? He swings it obviously very fast. He produces low spin?
178, 184 ball speed.
But if he was using a 910 in 7.5, the new drivers are a lot lower spin than that, fair to say.
Definitely.
So if you moved into, let's say, a TSI 3, you could probably test out a 9 or an 8.
Yeah.
That's the closest in shape, I would say, Dave. Driver-wise, can't think of anything else that would remind someone of that era of Titleist drivers.
That would be my recommendation.
Is another Titleist driver.
TSI 3, yeah, it's really good.
Try the 9 first, and if it's still spinning too much, the 8 I'm sure would get it down to a playable number. Like the TSI 4, I feel like you guys will sell 2 the whole year. It can't be for too many people.
It's funny, when we first opened, or just before we first opened, when those were released, we built 5 TSI 4s right out of the
Did you
gates.
really?
And I just said to myself, we've never sold any TS4. We never sold whatever, any of those 4 models. We never sold them. So I think more and more people are getting into them. But yeah, no, it's a good driver. But yeah, TSI 3 for him for sure.
I think so. Is anyone playing a TSI 4 on tour? I don't even think Adam Scott stuck with it. I thought he switched to a 3.
Homa had one.
Did he?
I don't know if he's still using it at the moment, but yeah, I know Scott went back to the TSI 2. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Here's a good one from Drew. Favorite players irons and players distance irons for 2021. Still got a lot to see. That's the one issue.
We're just gonna say our own golf clubs.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, Strixon stuff is hard to beat. Really good. New Titleist stuff I've hit it a couple days ago. Really impressed with the whole line. I even hit T300, and I know we were chatting about this morning, but it's great. It is really impressive this year. So
Strixon and Titleist. Okay.
As far as like players irons, again, I'm like a Mizuno fan, but for steeper but for steeper players, like I think the Strixon stuff is great. Like that to me is like people don't consider sole options depending on where you're playing.
True.
And we play, all of us, I think we all play generally softer conditions, and you see that a sole like that excel for a lot of players. Whereas if you're playing, I mean, we just did a video on it with Colin Morikawa, right? Like you play in dry conditions, you need to change that sole width up. You need to change up what you're hitting. So it comes down to the player specific. But as far as like players distance, Callaway Apex is ridiculous.
Is it? Yeah.
I
haven't hit any with that yet.
I think from a testing, and what is it, the DCB?
DCB, yeah.
That's more of like a moving in towards the game improvement, but I think it's a great iron. It feels good.
Definitely.
Love it. Patrick's asking swing characteristics that would push someone towards a 7-wood versus a hybrid. Good question, Patrick. I would say club head speed, ability to hit the ball high, your angle of attack, your spin kind of profile, your spin loft profile. So like someone like me, my hybrid goes 10 feet off the ground lately. I would probably use a 7-wood for a while.
Yeah.
But then someone else who swings much slower may also need it just for a different purpose. They may present enough loft, but they don't have enough ball speed to get the ball up in the air. So that's basically what you're looking at there. And some people just prefer the look of a wood over a hybrid. Some people just can't get used to a hybrid.
I think that's the great thing about a lot of the 7-woods now is they used to be catered towards like a game improvement style.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like you got TSI 2 7-wood looks unbelievably good.
It does.
Same with some of the ping ones and all kinds of stuff.
They have much smaller. And I think the new sim heads are all very. Mikey's 3-wood looked really good to me too. Like I don't know if it's just the way that they bounce the address position. Just looks great. Looks great. What else can I find that I like the look of here?
Here's a quick one.
Okay.
Tyler Tarosi, probably butchered that last name. It's okay. Have an iron fitting August 10th at TXG Mississauga. Anything I should know or bring other than my current clubs? The email that you get should state that, come in comfortable clothing. You don't need to dress like you're going to play the Masters. Clean golf shoes or running shoes. Bring your whole set of clubs just in case. A glove if you wear one. We have water.
Snacks.
Couple snacks. Come well rested. Preferably don't play before you're fitting.
That's a good recommendation.
Or hit 2 large buckets of golf balls the day before.
Yeah. I mean, you go hit some balls, definitely get warmed up loose, but you'll have time in the bay to get loose and get comfortable with the bay. Don't feel pressured to stripe it in there either, because none of us can. Just come relax and comfortable.
Love it. Was it Andy from the office where he hit his 2 large buckets of balls?
A couple of blisties.
Yeah.
Great episode. I just saw one I liked. I'm going to pull up from. I lost it. Okay, this is a good one here. David, anything you guys like in the driving iron category that plays forgiving but you can't see the back flange of? That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Because usually the forgiving ones you can.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it. We've happened to see the new U505.
I think this new 505 is going to be, I'm saying it now, driving iron of the year.
Can you see the back flange at address?
Not as much as what the old Strixon used to be. Remember Strixon U85 was pretty beefy. What is it? The U5, the 500, 510, the larger one. You can see that. Yeah. So, I think this new U505 will be really clean and easy to hit, but also give you that look that you're looking for.
It's really difficult if you're looking for a driving iron and you're looking for something that's really low lofted. as that face moves forward, to get it to feel good because it's getting thinner, they have to add mass, and so it's going to go behind the club head, and you're going to see it just because you're presenting so little loft, right? So if you want it to feel good, the chances are you're probably going to have to see something behind the ball. But a lot of times the mirrored finish, a lot of these companies will do like a mirrored finish, so you're actually getting the reflection of the ground. So whatever's behind the ball, you see it on the back of the head. I know Strixon used to do that, one of the other ones that they've had before.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so it does really shrink the profile a lot more than you would expect. When you look at them from the sole, you say it's pretty wide, but in reality, it looks really good.
Yeah.
All right. Lewis says he seems to hit his wedges with steel fiber 110 regular flex better and higher than his irons that have 95 gram stiff flex. Should I switch my iron shafts to the 110 regular? That's an interesting one. So going heavier and more flexible, helping you in the wedges.
Should he change them? I mean, if you need to hit your irons higher
and better,
and that's kind of working for you, what I would say is go get your iron set spec'd out, irons and wedges. Go to a club fitter like us. See if they can do a blueprint of your set just to see why. Potentially, you never know, depending where you got those wedges from. They could be 110 8-iron shafts. They could be, something that's creating that to go a bit higher. They are regular flex, so it could be a lighter shaft. Just depends on who built them or how they were assembled. There could be an anomaly there, and that's something we see if we do blueprint a set of clubs. Guy goes, I love my 7-iron, and his 7-iron's, 10 CPM softer than the rest of the set.
Right.
Well, that's the reason you love it. So just go get them blueprint and spec'd out and see what's up first.
Even a gapping session where you're going to get them checked will help with kind of understanding peak heights and distances and all those things.
Definitely.
All right, from Tom. Tom just got a Cobra Speed Zone driver off eBay. It came with an Aldolo Rogue Silver 110. Okay. He also has a Tennessee Blue AV65 from his old driver. What differences can I expect with these shafts, Mikey?
Tennessee AV Blue, in my mind, is going to launch higher than that Rogue Silver. So that's probably the main thing that you'll notice the difference between. I mean, put a Cobra tip on it and try it. I mean, that's everyone has access to a driving range, or hopefully, and I mean, go try them.
Yeah.
Go see the difference. We were talking about, windows today of what players want to see when they hit the ball. Should it be high? Should it be low? And when you try different shafts, if it's not in that window that you like looking at, then maybe don't play
Yeah,
it.
if you're not consistent with it, it should be pretty clear which one suits you.
Yeah.
It can be
hard to say without trying them.
Too, I think with that, I think the Rogue would feel a little stiffer in the handle, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be like quicker tempo. Might be something that suits the player better. Suits Tom better. Sorry, Tom.
Why do you think Morikawa stuck with Sim 1 over Sim 2? Good question. Most of the TaylorMade guys have Sim 2, I think. But what I didn't see is, did Morikawa have use of the sliding wake? That would be my guess, because the new one doesn't.
I think it was fairly neutral the way he left. I think so, or it might be slightly heeled.
So maybe he just
maybe
there was something. I haven't read or heard anything, and TaylorMade probably wouldn't release any information about why he prefers their old driver over the new one. So you could speculate.
Comfort, definitely a comfort.
You could speculate, but he probably he has to test the new stuff, and probably just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not a good driver. It just means for him, he doesn't like it. And maybe he'll switch later in the year. Who knows?
I think the original one had a slightly shallower face too, didn't it, compared to the new one? So again, I think it could probably be just a looks thing. Yeah.
But they always mess with Tiger's paint line and all that. Like, they'll do whatever they ask, basically.
Yeah.
Tiger's gonna have a Sim 3 by the time he gets back.
Sim 3 and a couple majors,
hopefully.
You are a fan, aren't you, Mike? Not that I'm not.
He's got it. I bet you he wins a major. He'll win a major for sure. He'll come back and win a major.
Now that I've seen Phil do it, and now I'm like, well, Tiger's going to recover eventually. I mean, it's not like I don't think anything happened to him that can't be healed, and he's got the drive still. So I wouldn't see. Why not? Why not? I see the word Mizuno. Ready? From Jerry. So Jerry has Mizuno MP20 HMBs with steel fiber I-95s. Those are graphite, right? seem to be higher flight and one club shorter than his Callaway CF16 irons with stiff recoil shafts. Can Lofts be strengthened? Okay, so yes, he could definitely strengthen the loft on the MP20 HMBs because they would be weaker probably than a CF16. Like Apexes are usually pretty strong.
Yeah.
HMBs are pretty bendable normally.
A couple degrees, I think.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Don't go nuts.
Yeah, don't go nuts.
So Jerry, maybe 1.5 degrees. Don't crank them too much for fear of snapping them. But yeah, that's worth a shot.
The one thing to always consider, and this is not a Mizuno specific question, is the fact that if you are strengthening the lofts of any iron, height is not a bad thing. I get asked all the time, and I play with people, and it's like, you hit your irons really high. It's like, no, I hit my irons the height they're supposed to, because you're creating a descent angle. People are always concerned about looking at, just purely distance, whereas I don't care if I hit a 6 iron or a 7 iron or an 8 iron or a 5 iron. If it's going the right height, it's going the right distance, and it's landing at the right angle and it's stopping, that's what you want to focus on versus, I hit club X versus club Y further or shorter.
Yeah.
That to me is the biggest thing. I think people get way too caught up in, trying to match one iron to the next to get distance where get a gapping, make sure your lofts and your distances are all specced up, you're hitting dispersion good, and that's it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I don't care if I hit a 5. I mean, I play really old clubs. I hit a 5 iron 165 yards. I don't care.
I would care, but I hear you. You're right.
I mean, these clubs are older than all of us, so these are. We're talking really old stuff.
That is really old.
Just for fun.
Nick Faldo 5 irons out there.
Old Wilson Walter Hags, like Ben. What's his name? I'm blanking on it.
Muirfields.
No, they're old Walter Hagen, like Wilson stuff. Ben Crenshaw, that's
Hagen.
it. Ben Crenshaw's the name I was coming up with. Signature stuff. They're great.
So about 18 different people have asked about this Mitsubishi MMT driver shaft. We haven't tested it. Have either of you tested it? Have you seen it? Have you read about it?
I think I've ordered it twice. Still hasn't arrived.
We just haven't tested it yet,
Yeah,
guys.
we haven't tested it.
Yeah.
We can get them.
I think we're going to have to because every week on the live, it's popular apparently because it comes in something,
Is
right?
it a stock shaft or
Stock
something?
Callaway?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send the boy a note today.
We have to test it. We must. I would expect it would be good. I mean, Mitsubishi stuff is usually pretty
Yeah.
pretty good, right?
Look how good that shaft is in the Mini Driver. Money.
Yeah, what is in that mini driver?
It's a made for TaylorMade.
Really? But it's a Mitsu?
It's made by Mitsubishi, and he doesn't even have any in Mitsubishi's factory right now. He's like, they're all at TaylorMade.
Really?
He goes, we don't have any here, so
Because they're so hot.
I guess.
It was good for you though, wasn't it?
It was
Out
good.
of the
Yeah,
box.
I'm not gonna lie. It was the stock to stock. It was good.
We did Mikey's What's in the Bag, so you'll see that this week. And there was mini driver chatter for you mini driver enthusiasts. Dave, Ventus Black for your extremely strong, fast swinging friend.
Yeah.
No brainer. Charlie is still using a TaylorMade M3 driver, which he loves. Am I missing something or giving something up by not switching to Sim 2? Mikey? I think a Sim 2 is a better driver than an M3.
Yeah. I mean, M3 was great.
As long as you don't go and do the test that most people do. They hit one shot with their M3 driver. Look at that flight.
Yeah.
They hit one shot with the Sim 2. Oh, it's about the same.
Yeah.
That's not how you compare the
No,
two.
no,
It's a season-long dispersion, consistency,
Get
ball
in front
speed
of
thing.
Get in front of a radar or stand next to a quad or
Yeah.
get some numbers and see the difference. You keep
and-
the same shaft.
Any driver,
the same
not just
shaft.
the Sim 2, right?
Yeah.
And then at that point,
Yeah.
Charlie, if you see a big difference, then upgrade. If you don't, don't. But I would expect something.
Yeah, M3 was great. I played one.
Good
I loved
driver,
it.
but it's been a few years, right? 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
I always think of the joke when you mentioned that, like hitting one and then hitting another one. It'd be like test driving a car and just sitting in it in the parking lot, being like, "Vroom, this feels great."
But it's what everyone does because
Yeah.
obviously, like you play golf with people, and I'll talk to someone. They'll be like, "Oh, I just can't find anything that will beat whatever driver." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, well, it's because you haven't looked. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. It's obviously one shot to one shot. Of course, you can replicate the same distance, but it's not.
Yeah.
That's not really what golf is. It's a season long of results.
Now we're getting into strokes gained. We're getting into the complicated number stuff.
Absolutely, that's what we're here for. This is a fair question. So Matthew got fit into PXG Gen 3 irons with some very expensive Oban steel. Is there a way he could save a couple bucks? Maybe something a little bit less exotic.
I'm not super familiar with this.
I mean, quality wise,
No, just
I
something
could
that
say no, but
performs
115s.
similarly.
You could go Modus 120 stiff.
Good advice.
Kind of very, very similar. I find the butt section on CT a little bit firmer.
Right.
It's a little bit more stable feel than what Nippon feels a bit loose, but I like that feel.
Okay.
That would be close. Quality-wise, stick with CTs. You're doing yourself a favor.
Okay. Matthew? Mikey says, pony up the extra cash.
Simon says.
Simon says. Easy for him to say, he's not buying them. Freddie's into the weeds here. Any weight difference between Mizuno driver adapter and the Club Connect's Unifit adapter? You got the only person in the world that I think would know this.
Honestly, depending on adapter, it's just, I don't know why I know this number. It's like 1.6 grams difference. I don't know why I know that number.
That's why I asked.
But I was
knew you would know.
checking something like literally, that's funny you asked, like a week ago.
Good.
And the difference between all of them is about a gram and a bit.
There you go.
And we're talking
Sorry, Freddie.
big question.
Enormous question, apparently.
And we think about a driver head weighing now at this point 200 to roughly 205 grams. It's not a huge difference when we're talking about the overall build.
Ben, this is a good question. So Ben has the P792 iron with a hazardous smoky yellow.
Nice.
Seems low spin and doesn't stay in the air long. Yep, that's what it's designed to do. So I actually play with someone with that 2 iron. He said the same thing. It's very, very, very low spin.
Yeah.
And I don't think, Ben, you're going to solve it by changing the shaft. I think you want to change to a different model of driving iron. So I would pick something with more loft and from a different company. I'm pretty sure TaylorMade's driving irons are the lowest launching, lowest spinning ones that anyone makes.
Play with a guy at the club who's ex-NCAA player, and he got a 2 iron through us, and he wanted it, and I mean, other than if you want to literally snipe people on the fairway,
if you want to hit it head high. Yeah.
And at our course it works, but he has no chance to hit that into a green at all.
So it's not versatile at that point, yeah.
No, I don't think
Something
so.
like the new Strixon one, Ben would spin a bit more and you'd have a more balanced flight from it. It would be easier to hit too.
Yeah.
Easier to hit.
I think if you just wanted to keep it, it's not going to be a shaft. It's going to be just tweaking the loft. You'll see it, but you're still going to it's still going to go low.
It's still going to be
That's
a
the
rocket
thing. It's going to be low.
Yeah, you can only. I imagine you can only put 1 degree of loft back on that, or maybe one a bit.
Yeah.
Any tips on buffing out bag chatter on the irons? Is that something anyone can do at home, or you got to send them out?
Yeah, I mean, the little bag chatter, I would say you're going to ruin the finish. Don't worry about it. Buy new irons. But like on a wedge, you hit a rock, you hit something that, seashell out of a bunker, and it takes a really, decent gouge out of the wedge.
Mm-hmm.
You can take it to a buffing wheel, a couple of
yeah.
different belts, and polish it up and make it look pretty good. You're not taking a ton of weight away from it either. So the bag chatter and stuff, I mean, my Strixons are brand new this year, and they've been used a lot, but there's tons of bag chatter. It's just something that's...
Chatter is character.
Yeah.
That's how I think of it.
It is character.
Another tip for people who, if you do get that like nick or that bump from a rock or something, beyond buffing, if you're trying to maintain some of the chrome finish, is you put it in a vise and very lightly tap it with like a hammer, and just slowly knock it out. And you'll really get it back into shape. Won't be perfect, but it's a way to kind of prevent it. Yeah, I've done it a few times with wedges that have gotten kind of rock dings, and it's just another way of doing it without removing mass and just kind of pushing it back where it was.
Interesting.
It's not quite as easy as molding Play-Doh, but you need to use a hammer. You can fix it.
It's doable, right? All right.
We're all about DIY.
Are you?
I am.
You love the DIY.
I got a whole shop in my basement. Everything's DIY.
I'm not good with the DIY. I just call the contractor.
I'm better off. Okay. Mitchell is asking, how often do you fit someone to a specialty pitching wedge versus the one that comes with the iron set? Out of 10 fits, Mikey.
1.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
it would be in the one.
I would say we start to fit a lot more people into set gap wedges now versus a specialty, gap wedge. Like rather than a Vokey, you're playing Strixon ZX7s. You're going to play the ZX7 approach wedge. It just helps with gapping, and it just makes everything a little bit tighter.
I swear I saw a tour player that had a set gap wedge.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who it was. I think
lot
it
of
was
ping
like
players
Dylan
used to-
Fratelli or something had one.
Callaway, yeah.
Yeah, it must have been him.
I know a lot of the ping guys did as well for a long
yeah?
period of time. They used to play the U wedge or Do you think it's like a skill level thing, Mike, or a handicap level thing, or is it really just down to gapping?
Yeah, it's definitely
too, right?
both. But I think you find, like, let's say you're playing Callaway Apexes, right? And you go into a Jaws 50 degree. I find that gap between yardage is, instead of 10 to 15, is like 15 to 20, 25, which is way too much. So when you put that set gap wedge in, it gives it a little bit more confidence. It has the same tech as your irons, and then your 56 and 60 or your 54 and 58, whatever your makeup is, are more of those specialty wedges that you might not hit full, all the time.
Yeah.
Ooh, the Bosco is in. Hello,
Boss
Mr.
man.
Fraser.
Thanks for checking in. We're holding down the fort. We haven't burned down the place yet. Mikey's keeping the language to a minimum.
Yeah.
And we haven't had too many Mizuno questions for Ryan. Just 2. One of them was irrelevant. It just said Mizuno in it.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's funny.
It had nothing to, didn't matter. Okay. Do we already plan to do a series on building clubs, reshafting, and the like? Do we plan that, Mikey?
Yeah.
We do. Andreas?
We do lots of planning.
We plan it.
One day you will see it.
You will. Yeah. It is being planned. It's in the plans.
I think that the hardest thing is, like, we have this space here, which looks great, and I think, for a shop, it's not always the easiest environment when you got saws going off and all
busy.
kinds of things. So it's
a different different
place.
experience. It's going to be a different style of video altogether, but we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll find our legs. I mean, when we started making videos for this, we didn't know what the hell we were doing either. And you find a flow, and we'll do it. Mikey will be the star of that.
Get the safety glasses on, apron you up.
Nah, safety glasses. You don't need those.
Oh boy. Terrible advice.
We are not doctors. We do not recommend that. Wear safety glasses.
All right. From Matthew. Currently have a 91-mile-an-hour swing on the 6-iron. Okay. He noticed the timing and flight consistency issues with his Modus 120s. Okay, so they're Mizuno HMB irons. Any suggestions for stiffer shafts? He likes the S300 in his wedges. Would an S300 be considered that much stiffer than a 120S?
A little heavier.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Just a bit heavier. So
Could be
maybe
heavier,
maybe
so
he
that
likes
could
the
be what
weight.
it is. Yeah, it could be a weight thing, especially if when you say timing,
Yeah.
immediately I think of weight.
Maybe
That's the biggest thing. If there's a timing issue where it's very inconsistent from a tempo perspective, you got to dial in your weight, and that's where I think is really important, especially with iron shafts, because you are dealing with a number of clubs in your set that do have a similar shaft or similar shaft weight. That's where it's really important to go through and fine tune it.
Yeah.
And we found it. We found it out today. We did some blind testing videos.
That's right, we did.
You were our guinea pig, because you're the only one who could handle all those golf shafts. And
Someone's got to do it.
it was interesting. Like we saw differences in ball flight and timing
Tons
and
of different stuff.
consistency.
Yep.
And I think that to me,
And that was 4 shafts that are intended for the same type of player,
yeah.
right? But there's still subtle differences between them.
Even there was, which you'll see it later, is the weight difference in one of the final shafts.
Yep.
Immediately saw a difference in like, you noticed it, you kind of picked it out.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
Those things do really matter. We're talking 5 to 10 grams. It makes a difference.
Yes. This is a good one. And the answer is yes. So Kaiser's saying really good with a fairway wood, hybrid, and probably driver, and struggles with the irons. You're probably a very shallow angle of attack player. Safe to say, right?
Yeah.
It's just easier to hit woods that way. The same way someone who's very steep hammers their irons but can't hit a wood. Here, you play with a lot of ex-hockey players in Canada, and they're all steep. So they'll roast like a 3-iron, 250, and you give them a driver, and they hit it sideways, 210, and it's like, whoa, what am I doing wrong? It's angle of attack is the answer. So probably, Kaiser, you'll want to find a opportunity to get on a launch monitor that measures that. Maybe have a PGA Pro or wherever you are in the world assess it for you, and say you are very shallow, maybe help you find a window that's a little bit steeper so it still lets you hit your woods well, but lets you kind of get the irons a little bit cleaner, a little bit less turf behind them.
Kaiser Sose is everywhere.
What's that?
His name's Kaiser Sose. Usual suspects.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it took me a
I
moment.
didn't clue in. You read it twice, and then I realized, it's the
It's
the
a
name.
name. Real name.
I did not. Yeah, it took me a second there to figure that one out.
There are some good names on here. When do the new drivers come out for 2022?
That's a great question.
2022.
Yeah, I think this year, without any knowledge of it at all, the big thing is going to be the PGA Show. I think there's going to be some stuff this year.
I actually think that normally November and December we feel like we've pretty much seen everything, and then we go to the PGA Show and we go, oh yeah, that's cool. Now we're seeing it in person. I think we actually may see it. Like they may try to hang on to some stuff a little bit longer. And so the show is usually what, third week of January, Mikey?
Mm-hmm. I've seen some stuff.
Oh my god. Mikey's seen some stuff.
You're the ninja. This
I have
whole
an
thing.
insight.
I don't know where you find this stuff. The dark web. The dark golf
Deep
web.
dark golf web.
But yeah, I think in terms of a consumer, yes, you will probably see it once the new year arrives. Hopefully a better year than this one. Anders is asking, would you say that G425 hybrids are the most forgiving you've tested of the 2021 models?
Ping hybrids are always good.
Yeah.
400 was good. 410 was, I mean, we couldn't sell them. It's like we couldn't keep them in stock. It was insane. This year is really good. I think, believe it or not, I don't know how many people have tested it, but that TSI1, it is a bigger hybrid.
Yeah.
But it is forgiving.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's
Are
good.
the head weights too light? Like,
I mean, it's light, but we can, you
can
can
fashion
play
it.
around with it and stuff like that.
might be good for me.
But yeah, honestly, it's like they were calling it what were they calling it? A highway hybrid fairway.
Yeah.
Oh, were they?
Highway.
And it's
hybrid?
great. It's really, really good. It's big, but I think it's super forgiving.
Yeah. This is an easy question, unfortunately. Try both. Get fitted.
Mm-hmm.
Sim 2 is very expensive. I will say that the Rad Speed fairway wood is quite nice.
Yeah, really good.
So, yeah, you could definitely save yourself some money, but you may hit it and hit it poorly, so I wouldn't buy it blind, but probably $200, $150 cheaper.
Probably.
Yeah.
Significant. Mikey, do you know of any tour sleeve for Titleist woods? Is there such a sleeve?
No, I've never heard of that. Have you?
No.
No.
There's I know that there's like a
There'll be an email going out after this. That's for sure.
there's a
Hello, Titleist.
I know Callaway offers the tour sleeve, so like 1 degree stronger in loft or a little bit flatter is the option, but they're not adjusting the sleeves for any like tour players. They'll just hand pick heads
Yeah.
to like a certain spec, and then they'll adjust with the sleeve from there. So there's no extra that's going into any of those things. I think that's too why they've kept it for so long. Like it's a very useful, functional sleeve system. It's really good.
Oh, Tim said he hit the new T100 at PGA Superstore.
Love it.
PGA Superstore is going to receive a letter from Titleist scolding them for breaking the embargo. Just kidding.
I might get a letter too.
You're teasing. There's a difference. Just teasers. How about this one right here? Sean is currently gaming TM. I don't know what that is.
TaylorMade M6 iron, Project X 6.0. Hit 'em well, 7 iron carry, 185. But get jumpers even on a great lie, 10 plus yards. Would a blade type help me with this ability?
M6 irons. Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely something a little less forgiving. I think will help those.
You probably don't have to go all the way to blades though.
No. I think even
Something cavity back would be fine.
P790 would be a good option. P790, P770 combo. I mean, try those.
Yep.
Another one, JPX 921 forged, or even Hot Metal Pro would be a good one. But those M6 irons are meant for distance, and if you're striking it well, and let's say you've improved since you've got them, it's just going to be little rockets.
Love it.
Yeah, man, I'm surprised you got a haircut. People were loving the flow last week.
I didn't notice.
I couldn't stand it anymore. Couldn't take it anymore.
Are you a hat guy though? Do you a big hat guy?
No, not
Dad hat.
only to play golf.
Him and I are the only ones that wear dad
Yeah, I
hats
love a
in
dad-
this
I
company.
can't look at my head. No,
I love a dad hat for golf. No, but I was turning into a hat guy like everywhere I was going.
Yeah.
I had someone over for dinner. I had to wear a hat because my hair was just insane. So no, I got a haircut. It was lovely. It was a lovely experience.
I had a hat on that I thought looked great when I had long hair, and then I put it on with like a haircut.
It's a different
It
animal.
just I was like, this is not a good look anymore.
It's just a whole different world.
Every 2 weeks, got to get it done.
Yeah, you're very regimented, aren't you? You'd be good in the army.
Hey, long hair.
Marco wants to know when the new Titleist T-Series irons will be released. You will see media stuff on YouTube and Instagram on Thursday.
Yeah.
In the morning. And released, like, you guys have the demos ready to go. So
demos are good to go.
Most places you should be able to hit them this week.
2 sets.
Stay tuned this Thursday on the TXG podcast.
Yes, you
Mike
will hear
and
from
I,
these guys.
We talked to Josh Tolge from Titleist. We go through the entire series of the new gear, and you can subscribe to that on the TXG podcast channel.
You should.
Subscribe to it on the TXG podcast channel.
I'm personally subscribed. I got a notification the other day about it. You have podcasts to listen to.
We always appreciate the listen.
593
I listened
people
twice.
are watching. Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
We need a Monday thumbs up, please.
Give Mikey a Monday thumbs up, for God's sake.
If you're feeling glum, pop the thumb. Is it Sullivan?
I don't know.
Or Hatton?
You know too many of these
too many of these
movies. I don't know
references
what
for
you're
me
talking
right
You
now.
gotta watch more of the European Tour stuff. I think that's
so much
Hatton.
time in the
Hatton.
day. Is it?
Hatton did that when they all had all the club tossers and they did that video.
He's a club tosser.
Well, that's why he was in the video.
Oh, I
yeah, it
see.
was all the aggressive players on the European Tour.
Okay.
Club
I
breakers.
thought you were saying he was trying to act like, oh no, be calm.
Oh
You're
no,
not
this is
calm.
one of those joke videos for the tour. It's
I
really
gotcha.
funny.
Baker, what's hair?
Christopher's asking about new Callaway hybrids. Are they gonna have Epic Speed hybrids? Are we even allowed to mention that?
I don't know.
Be
I don't know what you're
careful.
talking about.
Okay, fine. Don't say anything. Don't say anything if you don't think you can.
I know Johnny Wonder was on our podcast
Yep.
Okay.
a couple weeks
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
He talked about something.
Yes.
He called
a
it
hybrid.
He said if I said any more, they're gonna find me and
He'd be sleeping with the fishes.
Yeah, so we know something. I guess there's something cool that a lot of players are testing, but beyond that, we have no
Yeah.
information.
Something's not coming.
Something's not. Yes.
Something is not coming. Okay. Lovely. Ryan, good question here. He's saying if someone needs loft and lie changes, do you automatically put them in forged clubs? I'll change that to, do you generally recommend forged clubs?
No.
No.
I mean, like a lot of the
In the
cast.
extremes, maybe? If
Yeah,
someone
I
needs
mean,
3
if you're-
degrees upright or something.
Yeah, if we fit you to ping G425s and you need to go 5 degrees upright, we'll bend them as close as we can. We can't bend a ping 5 degrees upright right in a fitting, but we can always order them at the specific color code. When they come in, we build them up, and then we just do double check just to make sure they're
Okay,
bang
so
on.
that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And a lot of companies will do that for us. We can specifically request more upright or more flat clubs already done, so we don't crack any hosels.
I like it. Yeah, lots of new clubs. I saw some photos of the new MG3s from TaylorMade. Interesting looking clubs. Nothing official, but I think the usual Instagram suspects have the spy
I
photos.
think, was it last week or the week before Golf WX had them
Oh, yeah?
on? Like they had the first images of
Oh, I
them.
didn't know they got those. Okay,
Yeah,
there you go.
it was at one of the tour events. It's one of
Ours
the
are on their way. We will see
Nice.
them very soon.
Cool. Do they appeal to your wedge?
they look-
Yeah,
Wedge
they
centric
look
eye?
nice. They
Okay.
look nice. Might have to test
Okay.
60.
Might dabble.
Okay. You're very picky about a wedge.
I
Just
am.
thought I would ask. Would we ever do a fitting for Peter Finch or Rick Shields? Of course we would.
Why not?
Of course we would, Sam. Probably in the future, bud. Probably in the future. I would imagine we will probably go over there at some point. I don't think they're going to come to Canada, which is fine. I don't blame them. But I think we'll probably go to the UK at least once or twice in the next couple of years. And
Chip.
if the lads are up for a meetup, I'm sure we can do it. I'm sure we can do it.
Little links golf, Mike.
Some links golf. Okay. We've gone old enough now. An R9 driver. Everyone keeps telling me that I would add 20 yards to my drive if I upgrade. Is that true? Maybe not necessarily 20 plus yards.
If you come into TXG
Okay.
and you're coming for a driver fitting
Mm-hmm.
and you hit a bunch of warm-up shots with a 6-iron or 8-iron, whatever, get nice and loose, hit your driver very comfortably in the bay, and we start grabbing product, you're open-minded to anything, and we fit you to nothing. Nothing beats your R9. We'll be the first people to tell you that. Are you sacrificing yardage? You could be with new technology, different shaft, all that. Go get fit, try some stuff. That's the only way to tell.
Yeah.
Sacrificing forgiveness.
Yeah.
If
there's
nothing
there's
else,
no doubt.
you're sacrificing forgiveness around the face and ball speed.
Which could mean distance because not everyone dimes the face in the middle every time. So you could be giving up 20 plus yards.
Yeah.
There you go. Ian says we're going to the UK. We're going to Sunningdale. The invite has been received. So who was reading minds?
1, 2, 3.
Someone who I just
4.
put. Sam was reading minds. Sam, Ian says yes. Apparently he's already booked it. Sounds good. Accommodations? TBD. Yeah, how many seats we got? One more shaft question. I feel like I took way too many shaft questions today, but we'll do one more. Would Modus 120X be a good fit for someone playing Project X 6.5, but wants a lighter shaft? Mike?
PX65's 125, heavier, closer to 130 raw. Modus 120X is 123ish. Yeah, I mean it's gonna feel quite soft in my opinion. Maybe Modus 120 TX would be better.
It's a bit of a different animal, that one.
Yeah.
I think this is an easy answer. Is it worth the money to get fit for a putter?
100%. It's the most.
100%.
I think it's the most important one to get fit for.
Trying to learn to putt with what you have could mean getting away from your natural tendency. Could mean manipulating your putting stroke, and I think that's one of the biggest issues people have is they just try and make something work, where it shouldn't. It's really not going to. So
it's also the amount of time you would have to put into changing your technique and then grooving that. Unlikely that's going to happen. You're better off with something that actually suits your motion to begin with. Get fit. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. See, Dave loved his putter fitting. What else do you need? What else could you possibly need? This is a good one. Gabriel. What do you guys like in the fairway wood realm so far this year? Pick your 2 favorites. I'll go first. Mizuno STZ and Titleist TSI3. Those are 2 that I think are quite nice.
I was going to say Titleist TSI3 and also the Sim 2.
Sim 2.
I think the Sim 2 is just a rocket.
Okay. Mikey? You can duplicate answers, don't
Sim
worry.
2 Ti and Mizuno STZ.
Mizuno
It's like
STZ is getting a... Well, it would make sense if you like it.
Mini driver too. Don't forget that guy.
Mini driver.
If you want something,
those are some to look out for.
The one thing is, if you want something that's like has a flat setting, or you want something that is flatter, you want to try the Ping with that flat setting. That's a very unique option amongst OEMs.
The Ping, yeah.
With the hosel adjustment.
Very good point. Yeah, Ping does get a bit of a bad rap on the fairway woods, but their latest ones I think are quite good. Yeah. I think that the turbulator thing is the issue for most people, but I think they sound and feel better than they did. The G400 series were a little...
And the 425s got rid of the turbulators.
And the fairway wood, that's
super
right.
clean, yeah. They got the little 3-dot alignment.
I was still thinking 410, but you're right, they did do that.
I kind of forgot until you mentioned that. I forgot that they...
Turbulator's gone. Tyler Nelson.
He said he's off and he's answering questions.
Huh?
Said he was off and now he's answering questions. It's good.
Off is a relative term. Grip question. Would you recommend the MCC Plus 4 if someone is using standard and turning it over too much? So a little bit of extra diameter on the bottom hand.
I don't think it's going to change that much.
It's not going to cure a hook, Tyler.
I had a conversation with some of the people from Golf Pride a couple weeks ago now, and they were talking about, tendencies that people see and some of the misinformation that's out there when it comes to ball flight changing. There's a lot of other factors involved with changing a grip. So if it gets bigger, it gets heavier. There's all these other things that go on when it comes to making those adjustments. So although you are just changing the grip, there's probably a lot of other factors in that golf club that are creating adjustments, which could be potentially causing a different ball flight thing. And I think, because I know Ping on their proving ground thing, they did that years ago, and then they realized that all the different size weights created different balance points in the driver. So then they redid the test years later, where all the grip weights were the same, the balance points were the same, and they actually realized that there wasn't a big difference in grip sizing. It was more for comfort. So
interesting. Well, yeah, I think that makes sense.
I find all that stuff just fascinating, because at the end result is you're trying to find comfort and better dispersion.
Better result. Anders is asking about steel shafts in a hybrid. You would be on your own, Anders. I'm pretty sure I can think of no...
We've built a few.
Really?
Yeah, the old last year's Sim hybrid. We put a couple like Modus 105s in them and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Pretty
different
rare.
feel.
Pretty rare.
It's
though?
rare. It's rare. Very little do we see it. Maybe once or twice a year.
It's not likely that it's going to change the distance. It's just going to be a weight and feel thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that craze of the steel shaft back in the drivers and stuff like that?
You do remember that, yeah.
Died a quick death.
Nightmare.
It did die a quick death.
Yeah.
Was it Jimmy Walker that was trying it?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
And then it just didn't pan out at all.
No.
If you ever want to test it, I think I got one still sitting
No, I'm
around
fine.
I think
somewhere.
we've got 2 built up.
I
Somewhere.
think I can go to my grave without hitting that. I'll be fine. I'll be just fine.
The only steel shaft I play in a driver is in my persimmon.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Different generation of club. It's an interesting one, yeah. I've seen videos regarding the more pricey putter shafts. Do you have any impressions of the KBS CT or Step? We haven't tested the KBS ones. We have tested Stability, Stability Tour. We've tested the LAGP one. We have tested off camera the Acra one. Am I missing anything?
There's a Fuji one that we need
We
to test.
Yeah.
need to test them. Yeah, I think our impression overall is like the science is there. We've done testing with Quintic and stuff, and there's benefits to it. Are you going to all of a sudden? Someone asked me about it on the golf course the other day, like, "Oh, do you think I would make more putts with it?" I have no idea.
Yeah.
You might.
It's we had this conversation earlier about the drivers, and you hit 10, you compare.
Yes.
That's the biggest thing, because off the middle they're going to perform very similar to steel, but they're going to feel different.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels way different.
But how the head reacts when you've got something that's a lot more stable when you mishit it is the big benefit of all of those.
Definitely.
That's the goal. So it's like a blade versus a game improvement club. Off the middle, they're going to technically perform the same. Off the toe, one is going to be way more forgiving, and at the end of the day is going to provide a better result.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I want to take this one here from Callaway XR16 driver. Do you guys familiar with that
Yep.
one?
Yep. Great driver.
Okay, so somebody snapped that or broke it, obviously. Looking to upgrade, but he did like the head. Anything similar in the 2021 driver models?
I mean, Callaway, you could go Epic Speed.
Yep.
Kind of not similar shape, but very, very close. You could go XR16.
Is that the one that they build long drive heads with?
They do have a couple long
Yeah.
drive ones with that. Yep.
The XR Pro is a great. That XR16
Yeah.
Pro is really good looking driver.
The XR Fairways were. The
Yeah, I
easiest
play with a
thing
ton
to
of people
sell.
that- yeah,
It
yeah.
just went so far and high. It was
Crazy,
It
yeah.
was perfect. Epic Speed, and then maybe like a Sim 2 Max. Maybe give those 2 a try. Very different shapes, but
Yeah.
you're in between what the XR16 performed and looked like.
I thought TSI 2 just because of the shallower driver.
Definitely
Look,
that
yeah.
could work.
I have a feeling this is a yes. Does desired descent angle change depending on the person's swing speed during a fitting?
Definitely can do.
Yeah.
It's going to be maximized depending on club head speed and ball speed that's produced. So
Generally, the
looking
faster
at
you
ball
swing,
speed.
the
Yeah.
less of a concern
Yeah.
it's going to be. Right?
That's why when people look at Bryson and the distance that he hits it, the reason he plays such strong lofted irons is not because he's trying to hit it further. It's because he's trying to create some lower peak height, because no matter what, he's going to generate spin and he's going to generate height.
Yep.
So that's why, me versus who, I don't know what, I swing my 600 like 91 miles per hour. And the ball, whatever the ball speed is, I'm blanking on the numbers. But if you only swing your 600 at 70 miles per hour, like your peak height is not going to be as high. So now you're trying to maximize how far that's going to go to create a descent angle that's going to stop at least to a certain point.
Right.
And then once you can't get to that, hybrids and fairway woods.
Yeah, because the 6-iron becomes kind of a long iron for someone that swings at that speed.
Yeah.
And then you're better off with a wood.
Exactly.
Preston wants to know if you guys have ever used a Cameron with a Trillium? The Trillium insert?
Yep.
Have you?
Yeah, I had a Newport 2 button back Trillium insert. Then I've had, I still have the original Trillium inserts. I've got
Oh, yeah?
2 Newports and a Santa Fe. Love them.
So what is the hype with this? Versus
I
just
mean,
like a
to
mill
me, it
face?
felt a little bit softer. There was almost no sound at impact. No, not even a clicky sound.
Interesting.
Um,
So less firm?
yeah, I liked it, and it just, it looked cool too.
Yeah, it's a bit of that, obviously.
But yeah, no, I love them. I think they're great. And even the new stuff that's come out, the Champion series, They look awesome, and the stuff they did a year ago now, the black ones. Yeah, if you can find one, try one. They're great.
Good. Love it. Let's take 2 more, boys.
2 more.
All right.
Mikey, pick one on your side. I'll pick one over here.
Okie doke. Someone said I can. Sure, I can. I don't know what he means.
I don't know. We'll take this one first from Austin. Do you think more tour players will convert to graphite in their irons in the next 5 years? So far, we have what? A handful at most?
Yeah.
Abe Answer being probably the most recognizable. Also one of the better iron players on tour.
Poster child for it. Yeah.
What do you think?
100%. I think there's definitely going to be more players. Now, there's a couple reasons why players don't switch, and it's because they've used whatever XYZ steel shaft for the longest period of time. They're not looking to be optimized in a setting like we have here because they have a feel, they have a ball flight window, and that's what they stick to. As we see more younger players transition to the PGA Tour, and you're going to see more graphite. It's just, I bet you probably fit more better players or faster players into graphite in the last couple of years than you ever have, right?
Definitely. You have, Acker offers something heavy and, firm.
Yep.
MMT.
Fuji Tour spec.
Yeah, like there's so much more. Graphite's becoming more of the norm. I'm not going to say steel's going to disappear, but if we can start creating graphite that's firm and stable, like an X7 would be,
right,
then you have that ability to reduce injury of graphite and stuff like that. I think graphite is...
There's advantages, right?
Everyone's not going to play graphite, but I think you will definitely see it a lot more.
We understand too that for the general consumer, there's a cost factor there, and it's because of the materials used versus steel. But for tour players and people looking for maximum performance, especially too, these guys hit a zillion golf balls.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of them, but if you can give them any opportunity to reduce potential injury by maybe going a little lighter or maybe having something that reduces that vibration, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
So,
no, I think most people would be into that if there was no trade-offs. What about this one, Mikey?
Best thin sole cavity back irons out there for 2021.
I have one in mind.
Thin sole cavity back iron out there.
The thinnest sole cavity back irons I think that I've ever seen are the P7 MCs from this year, TaylorMade.
Yeah, good show.
They're crazy. They look like they're thinner than sole than the blades.
Yeah.
So that would be my pick. If that's what you're looking for, it's very specific.
I almost want to call like the JPX 92 on tour a cavity back iron because it's not a blade.
it's a cavity.
Yeah, but it's like very close. It's like a blade, but it's a cavity. It can't make up its mind really.
Yeah.
I would say that's got a pretty.
What is he
thin
saying?
sole.
Cavity backs?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you said the Mizuno, so I don't look like the guy over here who just answers every time.
You like Mizuno?
Yeah, I think if you're looking for thin sole, it's super hard to beat the TaylorMade.
I've never seen anything with a sole like that.
The thing is really small, but it's got that slightly longer blade length than like your traditional blade, which I think offers a little bit of forgiveness as well. So, again, would you consider the T100 to be like a super thin sole, or you kind of call it a mid?
Not crazy. I mean,
wouldn't call
the
it
new
thin.
one is a little. I think looks a little bit thinner, but
Does it?
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff going on in the sole with those things. So
Yeah, the sole on that is. The story on that is cool. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, we'll be testing those soon. We have them in, so you guys will see that from us. Probably not this week, but next week. But you will definitely hear from these guys on the podcast about it this week. Thursday
Thursday at
morning?
9 a.m.
Love it. Okay, boys, good job.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We have 3 videos coming out this week. Blind iron shaft testing.
Yep.
Was actually a pretty cool result. We've got a what's in the bag for Mikey. And we are probably about to hit some Cobra wedges.
Yeah.
Snake bites.
So you will see all that coming this week.
Might have a what's in the bag for me soon. We'll see.
We've also got Ryan's ready, and yes,
We're testing.
We may or may not release that this week, but you'll see
We'll
it
see it.
in
We'll
time.
see.
Cool.
Definitely.
Any closing thoughts, Mikey?
Have a good week.
Hit it
Stay
good.
hydrated.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see
care.
you next
Thank you.
week.
See ya.